All right.
Shade.
So what we're going to be doing today is factoring quadratics. So we are still working with quadratic equations, and eventually this is going to help us graph them better. But for right now, we're just going to practice factoring.
Is there
So
quadratic equations?
factoring is kind of like the opposite of distributing. Is kind of what it's like. Or do you guys remember foiling?
Yeah.
The FOIL method. We're actually, that's what we're doing today. We're doing the opposite of FOIL. So factoring a quadratic is going to break it into two sets of parentheses. So as an example, if my quadratic was x squared plus 5x plus 6, when I factor it, I'm going to get like in parentheses x plus or minus 2, x plus or minus something, x plus or minus something. So all of our factor things today are going to look kind of like this. The only thing that's going to change are these numbers here. And I kind of like this stuff today. I'll be honest, I kind of like this stuff. It's not super difficult.
2 and the 3 come.
Yeah.
It can be kind of annoying sometimes, but
Okay.
I kind of like it.
Go.
Alright, so what I want to do is factor this. It's the opposite of foiling. And the method we're using today, I'm just calling end-middle factoring. I don't remember the official name of it off the top of my head, but I just call it end-middle because to use end-middle factoring, I need to answer two questions. I want to know what times what is C, or the number on the end, and adds up to B, which is the number in the middle. What times what is the number on the end that adds up to the number in the middle? That's why I call it end-middle. So I want to know what times what is 20 that adds up to 9. So some of these are pretty easy. So we're going to start, let's go, hey, 4 times 5 is 20. I want to see if those exact same numbers, 4 plus 5 equal 9. If that is true, if 4 plus 5 equals 9, which it is true, but if it wasn't true, we do it again and find something else that we multiply to get 20 and add up to 9. So this is kind of like guess and check stuff today. Yeah.
What if it doesn't?
Then you pick new ones and try it again.
No,
Just
what
so
if, like, you can't find anything?
you won't have any of that today.
Oh.
If you ended up doing that, there'd be, I don't think it would be a quadratic.
I don't think it'd be possible.
So,
'cause isn't there-
We are going to use this 4 and this 5 to split apart our quadratic into two parentheses. So we're going to put two parentheses and we're going to put x plus at the beginning of all of them. Or you might end up doing like an x minus if you do a plus and negative, but it doesn't really matter. You do a plus negative or you can do a minus. So the first thing is, and it doesn't matter which number you start with. I'm just going to start with 4 because it's first here. I'm going to have x plus 4 in my first parenthesis. I'm going to have x plus 5 in my second. And what this does is it splits our quadratic apart because we're going to use this later to help graph our parabola. We're going to use it to actually find solutions of parabola. So if I were to take this and if I were to foil it, if I were to foil this again, or if I were to foil this, it would go right back to where I started. So these are really the same thing. The x squared plus 9x plus 20 is really the same thing as x plus 4 and then x plus 5 in parentheses. It's just we've rewritten them in different ways. So this part is really good for finding your vertex. This part that we're doing today is really good for finding solutions, which we will do more with later. But we're just going to practice this today. So let's look at this one. I'm going to look at x squared plus 6x plus 5. And I'm going to end middle factor. I want to know what times what is 5 and adds up to 6, which is pretty easy. Oh man, what is it? What times what is 5? Or actually, give me two numbers we can multiply to get 5. LMA? Give me two numbers we can multiply to get 5.
5 and 1.
What?
5 and 1.
5 and 1. Is 5 plus 1 6?
No.
It is. So we got our two numbers, but we have to actually write our answer.
I got a different answer.
So for my answer, I got to go x plus 5,
I got one.
and
I got
then
2 and
x
3.
plus 1. If you flipped it around and did x plus 1 first, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
It's
It
different.
doesn't matter the order. And that's it for these first one. So we want to know what times what is the number on the end and adds up to the number in the middle. So you know what? Let's have you guys do both of these in the boxes here. I want you to end middle factor. And then we'll get into a little bit tougher ones here in just a minute. So tell me, what times what is the number on the end and adds up to the number in the middle?
Oh.
75.
Wait, what times what equals first number and adds
84.
up to the one on the end?
What, so end middle, what times what is the number on the end and adds up to the number in the middle?
Oh,
What times what is 32 and adds up to
So then we gotta
12?
do x
Okay, so
plus
x,
8 x plus
Should get you guys all multiplication table
oh
things.
yeah.
'Cause everybody keeps staring at those.
4. Put it on the
Oh, me
desk.
I
too.
don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna be like elementary school where you tape it like roll in your corner.
I've never really used that, even in
I don't
elementary
either.
school. I just memorized them all.
That's
I just-
confusing.
Really?
Still-
You memorize? I can't.
I just
It
guessed.
still surprises me that people look at that.
I use
How do you
that
use
literally
it?
all the time.
Oh, you go to the
I
number.
cannot do math.
Oh,
Yeah, you see where they match up.
I hate math.
Those confuse me. I don't like it when things are like parallel.
Memorize it.
Weird. I don't like graphs because they screw with my eyes.
You said you both of them?
5 and 3. 0.
3 and 5.
I'll give you about another minute.
You're wrong because 3 and 5. Because B is positive, a bigger number will also be positive.
You say so.
My bladder will go to burst.
Wait. How do you do it?
Well, look at these next ones.
What?
All right, let's go over these ones.
Negatives. Oh.
So, on this first one, Austin, what times what is negative 32 and adds up to 12?
8 and 4.
Which means when I make my factored form, what's that look like?
Oh, x plus 4, you know, in parentheses,
Mhm.
and then x plus 8.
Yep. X plus 4 and then x plus 8. Yep. If you flipped it around and did x plus 8 first, that's fine. It doesn't matter. As long as you got them full.
What about y?
I've got them both. What about it?
Is there no y in these problems?
No. As you look at these, they might like equal y instead of factor, which is fine. You would just say like equals y, like that.
What
You
about
don't have to
z?
do anything with it though.
It was Z.
Yeah, is there no
Yeah.
z's?
So if there's a z, it might be like z squared plus 12z plus 32. Which is fine. You just write z plus 4, z plus 8. It doesn't matter. Most of these are going to be x today, I think. Though.
What about a?
Probably not. All right, Dazen, what times what is 15 and adds up to 8?
5 and 3.
Right? So what's
3,
it look
5.
like when I put in my
X
factor
plus
form?
5, X plus 3.
Yep.
Oh, parentheses, X plus
Yeah.
3.
I know what it is.
You didn't care. I was just saying.
I know.
Okay, so these are the easiest ones. Some of them get a little tougher though. So if I'm going to end middle factor x squared plus 3x minus 10, I want to find out what times what multiplies to be not just 10, but negative 10.
What?
That's a negative 10 right there. So it's got to multiply to be negative
What
10.
about negative 5?
And it's got to add up to positive
That's
3.
That's the add.
So what times what is negative 10 and adds up to positive 3. So if
22.
I'm multiplying and I get a negative, what do I know about at least one number, Thomas?
It's bigger.
If I multiply and get a negative.
One of them is
let Thomas
22.
answer.
Positive, sorry. That's good. It's working.
It's working.
What do you know about one number if they multiply to get a negative?
It's negative.
We have at least one negative in here. So one of these numbers is going to have to be negative.
Negative.
And I'll give you a
22,
hint. Because
negative
they add up
It's
to
lower
a
number.
positive,
Lower numbers ain't-
my bigger number will be positive. So if you don't remember this, that's fine. Just keep in mind, if they multiply to be a negative, then you got a negative number.
Is that what
So
we're doing today?
yes. So we want to know what times what is negative 10. So
I like
Devin, what two numbers multiply to be negative 10? Give me two of them.
negative 10 times 1.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Negative 10 times 1.
So
But is negative 10 plus 1 3?
no.
No. So we got to pick different numbers. So what times what is negative 10, Jaden? Negative 5 times 2.
No!
No.
Is negative 5 plus 2 positive 3 though?
No.
Nope. So we gotta try again. Kayla, what's another one?
Negative 1 times 10.
What times what is negative 10?
Negative 10. What?
What?
Negative 10.
What times what is negative 10? And adds up to 3. That's what we're going for.
David was
but
really close, I'll tell you that.
He was. When he was trying to be smart, he really messed it up.
God dang it. Topic.
Negative 5.
Right.
No!
I already did that one.
Negative 3.
No!
No.
Wait, what?
No.
Jason.
Carissa, help him out. What times what is negative 10 and adds up to 3? No, they need help.
Then find help somewhere else.
No. Help me out then. What times what is negative 10? Give me two numbers that we haven't used already.
17 and 33.
Not 17 and 33.
22 and
I
11.
bet you
Gosh.
that's the word.
Gosh. Carissa, give me two numbers that multiply to be negative 10. Pick two.
Negative 2 and 5.
Negative 2 and 5.
Negative 2.
Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, and negative 2 plus 5 is positive 3. So, when I write down my answer, I'm going to do either x plus negative 2 or x minus 2. Plus a negative is really a minus. It does not matter either way.
Wait, it can be minus one.
Only on the 2. Only on the 2. Because it's a negative 2. So you can say plus negative 2, or you could say x minus 2. It doesn't matter.
Did you do x minus negative 2?
X minus minus.
No, because that's really a plus.
I know.
So no, you're trying to be smart again. And really you're just messing
I'm
it up.
trying to be smart.
Okay.
Alright, let's do a couple more. So I'm going to look at x squared minus 23x minus 78.
These two.
So because b is negative, or
This
the
one
middle
implies
is negative,
They're
our
both
bigger number
negative?
will be negative.
These two.
Not yet.
Oh, I see it right
Okay,
there.
so I want to know what times what is negative 78. So, Raven, do you know two things we can multiply together to get 78? Or negative 78 off the top of your head?
And I'm gonna look into
17.
No, and that's fine. So, if you don't know any off the top of your head, grab Desmos.
17 and 5.
Desmo.
It's 17 and 5.
Grab, it's not 17 and 5.
22 and
I'm
4.
close.
Grab Desmos.
17
And,
4.
alright, so I got Desmos here. So
It's
I'm going to take negative 78.
it's 19 and 5.
Hey, I'm going to take negative 78. I'm going to pick numbers to start dividing by.
19, 20.
Because I don't know what goes into
12.
78. So I'm going to try, how about 3?
4.
12 and 8.
Ah!
And I get negative 26.
18 and 5.
So is 3 plus negative 26, is that
Yes!
negative 23?
Yes.
Man, I meant to do these for a while. Hold on.
4.
Alright, so if I have negative 26 times 3, it's negative 78. Negative 26 plus 3 is negative 23, which means for my factored form, x minus 26, x plus 3. So, like I said, if you don't know what numbers you can multiply together, just pick the number and pick stuff to divide by. So I picked 3 randomly. I didn't realize this would work. I meant to do it for a little while, but I divided by 3 and I got negative 26, so I checked it out. What you don't want to do is if you divide, like let's say if I divided by 5, I get a decimal. I don't care about decimals. We don't want decimals. So 5 doesn't work.
Decimals.
5 automatically doesn't work.
Divide it by 18.
Okay. I don't know why that mattered, but sure. Alright, so let's keep going. Now this one's going to be a little different. What do you mean, Dazen?
How's you special?
There's a line already.
I know, I'm not saying.
Alright, I'm going to look at x squared minus 8x plus 12. So I want to know what times what is 12 and adds up to negative 8. So this one can be kind of sneaky. They multiply to be positive, but add to be negative. So if they multiply to be positive and add to be negative, they are both negative. So, I think we're at, we'll go Raven again. Raven, give me 2 negative numbers that multiply to be 12.
Negative 6 times 2.
And negative 2. So let's go negative 6 times negative 2 is positive 12. is -6 plus -2, -8.
Yeah.
Yep, so we got our two answers. X minus 6, X minus 2. Or you could do plus -6 plus -2, it does not matter.
Nope.
Alright, next two in-class problems. Do these ones in the boxes and then you guys can help me out. Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
I've already done this.
Liar.
Seven.
Devin, go.
It's not after lesson.
Oh,
Take the tardy though if you want.
I can't. Pee in a cup.
What?
Can you get
I have
more?
to pee really bad. If it gets hard, then bro.
That's a good question. What's going to be better? Is it better to take the tardy and run, or to wait?
And pee on
Hold
your
it.
floor.
You know where pee on your floor? You cannot hold it. I'm definitely not taking
That's
tardy.
actually
Definitely not taking tardy. That is a fact.
He's getting waterfall sounds.
Oh yeah, I know.
you know you get one tardy. If you get two tardies, then
Yeah,
Loud.
you'll be fine.
No.
Just pee.
There's a personal goal.
You Pendleton spy.
Did you hear her?
No.
It smells like fries down here.
This is an hour.
Our water drop.
Some girl in Hawaii. We had 56 kids last year and 80. What's 10% increase?
We had 56 last year. How many do we have now?
80. Well, I'm going to go 79. I'll be on the round. Because you can't divide 7 by anything and not get a freaking
Oh, no, I'm
decimal.
drawing a blank.
Divide by
Give me
itself.
the talk to me.
Yeah.
7 divided by 1.
Wait,
That's why it's -8. X minus 7.
I couldn't hear her.
Did you say 50 or 56?
What's this?
-2.
4. Yeah. -4 times 2. Or
-4. No.
it'd be -4. No, what the?
It's a negative or positive.
Yeah, but the negative is gonna be bigger.
It's like a 41%.
Does it say the
Four.
whole?
Because
That
41,
two is
maybe
-2.
Okay.
wouldn't add up.
So, you figured that.
It has to be both
subtracted
negative, right?
instead of
Yeah. No, it can't
differences.
be.
No, no, I just did
It's not
79
gonna be
divided by
positive.
56. And I got 1.14
Look.
and I just double checked.
And then times it by 56.
Yeah, they're both negative.
You sure?
Yes.
All right.
That one's just like it. So, 4 or X minus 4. X minus 2.
Alright, let's go over
So that's
these. So I think we are at
You see?
Maya.
negative is
What times what is
positive.
-8
Both are
and adds up to
negative.
-7? What?
Times. It's a -4 times. But they both have to be negative.
Well, they add, or they multiply to be a -8, right? So only
One
one's
negative,
negative.
one positive.
Is it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Is -4 plus 2 -7?
Since B
No.
is positive.
Well, so what else can we multiply to get -8? You're missing the
Only one's
obvious
positive.
one. That really, it's so obvious
Oh.
people miss it.
8 times 1.
But
Negative.
-8 times 1.
Oh.
Is -8 plus
positive.
1 -7?
Yes.
Yep, so we got what we need. We have x minus 8,
What?
x plus 1.
Oops.
Alright, LMA, what times what is 8 and adds up to -6?
20.
That's what I got. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do those add up to -6 though?
Oh.
Can I just throw the answer so let's don't go by faster? Doesn't go better?
So these multiply to be a positive, but add to be a negative, right?
Yeah.
So what are both numbers?
2 and 3. No.
They're both negative. So give me two negative numbers we can multiply to get 8.
14.
Then I'll actually
Negative
do
Negative 4, negative 2. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. We got what we need.
X minus 4.
Alright, we got one more slide and that's it.
Oh, let's go.
Actually, that's false.
Well, we might skip it because you
I
guys are
have
doing
like
good.
3 more slides.
Actually, yeah.
We
have-
might skip one because you guys are doing good. Calm down. Alright, so we've had one thing in common on every single factor problem so far. Dazen, just sit, man. You're
I can't sit.
probably
If he
crazy.
sits down, he's pissed.
It's weird. Okay. We better hurry then.
Just like,
Alright, Dazen, what has every single factor problem had in common so far?
I would
Negatives.
Well, yeah, they've all had an X.
We already know how to do this. Actually, I don't know.
No,
what
I
to do,
can't.
but
Factor over
Alright,
eight.
so far, every single factor problem has had A equals 1. So, the factoring we did, in middle factoring, only works when A equals 1. If I'm looking at negative x squared plus 14x plus 32, A is not 1. A is negative 1.
That's not.
Negatives.
That negative makes it a negative 1.
No, it doesn't.
So, in order to factor this, I have to get rid of negative 1, which I can do by dividing by negative 1. But if I'm going to divide by negative 1, I have to divide everything by negative 1.
Ah!
obviously.
So, I'm going to get an x squared
I thought you already
minus 14x minus 32. And now I can factor. I want to know what times what equals negative 32. And what plus what equals negative
Minus
14.
14x minus 3 squared. I mean 32.
Alright, so Dazen, what times what's negative 32?
What times what's negative 32?
Yep.
But it also equals negative 14?
Yeah.
Let's see.
6.
Wait, they're both negative.
No, because they multiply to be negative, so only
Oh.
one is negative.
Only one is negative?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Devin, you got an answer?
negative 16 times 2.
Alright, let's try negative 16 times 2. Negative 16 times 2 is negative 32. What's negative 16 plus 2, Dazen?
Negative 14
Negative 14. So, my answer, x minus 16,
plus 2.
x plus 2. Alright. Do you guys want to practice some more or you want to go to the exit ticket?
Let's go to the
Exit
exit.
ticket.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, we're starting on our exit ticket. I gave you guys a perfect opportunity and nobody took it.
What'd you say?
I gave you an opportunity to make them wait longer, but you didn't take it. Okay, starting your exit ticket. I will turn on Socrative in just a minute.
I shall leave now.
Whoever was first for the bathroom can go. I think it was. That's a little concerning.
He peed his pants. Shut up.